Do you admit that U and J are pretty similar in terms of letter shapes?
I mean, it's like a U that you like pulled up on.
It sounds similar.
Yeah.
Let's do the podcast.
Welcome to NOCLIP. I'm Chad Rutherman.
I'm JJ Artemis.
And I'm Andy Kinnick.
And today we're going to be talking about Pokémon Snap, which was released in 1999 on the Nintendo 64 and was developed by HAL Laboratory and Pax Softnica.
Ooh, okay.
Pax Softnica?
Yeah, a development company so completely unheard of, they don't have a Wikipedia page.
Oh no. Do they have a Google result?
I didn't search it.
Softnica?
Yeah.
Is it because it's impossible for you to remember that combination of letters and syllables?
It does seem weird. There are two consonants right next to each other with no vowel in between. It's a little bit ridiculous. But
It's as ridiculous as the concept for Pokemon Snap.
yes. But the only thing I wanted to say there was that, like, HAL is, at least in 99, is, like, very much a prolific second-party developer, as they did, like, Kirby and Smash Brothers.
And Pokemon Stadium, didn't they?
Yeah. It's, it's Sakurai's, well, Sakurai, like, works there.
Yeah.
As did Iwata, actually. It's a very, like, it's cool that they worked on these, like, a few 64 games. But you don't really associate them with Pokemon Snap.
No, that was way pre them becoming, like, personalities in any meaningful sense of the word. This is before, like, personalities in, like, console game development was even really a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Googling it, Pax Softnica appears to just have been, like, a second-party developer that that just kind of, like, is now defunct.
Oh.
Like, they're just an older developer. Probably got consumed by a larger one.
Yeah. One of those old-timey guys that only kind of exist now to mostly, like, churn out or fix problems with, like, mobile ports of games that no one cares about. Like the DS version of Call of Duty 4 or whatever.
I don't think they're
that's a
quite
thing.
that bad.
Yes. I guarantee...
That wasn't just a joke?
No, that's... In fact, I remember, there have been Call of Duty ports to the DS, the original DS.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As you can imagine,
The more you know.
They couldn't really keep up with all the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was just too good, because you just pop headshots, 360 no-scope, MLG Pro. Blaze it. Anyway, so we're talking about Pokemon Snap today.
Yeah?
And this is such an oddity of a game. Especially in 99. It's so specific.
Yes.
To, like, because it's like the only Pokemon game where you don't, like, collect Pokemon, really. You're taking pictures, you generate a collection of photos.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all the same, and it's in this, like, rail shooter kind of format, but with photographs. I have no idea where this idea could have even come from, really.
Well, wasn't there some kind of, like, proprietary hardware that this was initially developed for that ended up not getting released?
This would be news to me if it was the case.
Oh, it was the something DD.
Oh, the disc drive.
Yeah, that was it. It was originally going to be a CD game.
Okay.
And this was going to be, like, one of the, like, big old things
Like
that
the
they did.
flagship, the killer app.
apps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that it is just an on-rail shooter.
Right.
But where you take pictures instead of shoot things. And I have to imagine the idea came from... This came out after Pokemon Stadium or before?
I don't know. They definitely share models. You can find that in 1 second.
Yeah,
because I had to imagine, like, making a Pokemon game in 3D, people were like, this is cool. Wouldn't it be fun to, like, do more things and be able to, like, see the Pokemon, like, up close in, like, 3D models?
Well,
this came out, Japanese release dates. I believe this came out, it definitely came out in America before
Okay.
Pokemon Stadium did. Stadium was released in 2000.
that sort of matches up with the timeline, since even now looking back on it, I still get the sense, knowing that this was released in 99, that this whole game was kind of rushed to meet in with, like, the complete madness that was going on in 1999 about Pokemon.
Pokemania.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of
consumption.
insanity and, like, people would have bought a Pokemon game no matter what it contained, as evidenced by Hey You Pikachu. But yeah, it just seems like kind of an off the wall concept for a game that was, you know, is ostensibly published by Nintendo.
Yeah, for a AAA game.
Yeah.
This kind of game is 100% the kind of thing that if it was made in the modern day would have some kind of like goofy peripheral attached to it,
Right.
Or like a motion control
Like
device.
Hey You Pikachu.
Yeah. Like, I'm stunned that even at the time they couldn't think of some like bullshit thing to plug into the back of the N64 controller port.
I can
to make it
imagine-
seem
I
more
bet
like a
that
camera.
I bet they had a prototype.
Yeah. I would imagine, because, like, as a, like, at least, because I think the Game Boy cartridge reader that you could plug into the back of the controller
Yeah.
was a thing that shipped with Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah, it was.
It did.
Right. So, this came out a year before that, but had the timeline been reversed, you would have had, I'm imagining, the horrible combination of that and then the Game Boy camera.
Oh, God.
Like, put into, so
If
just
you could
using
somehow
the gyroscope.
Yeah, so you could somehow put motion control into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is perfectly the kind of bullshit that they would have all sort of created out of some kind of strange plastic device now.
They'd have to ship Pokemon Snap with the Game Boy reader and the Game Boy camera if they wanted to do that.
Or I think it'd be easier probably to just make like a designated gyroscope peripheral that plugs in the controller. But I feel like no one was thinking about the idea of like waving their N64 controller around in the air.
Right.
Especially since you can't really use it like a viewfinder anyway, because
Yeah.
it's a chunk of M-shaped plastic. So it would be kind of difficult. And you couldn't even use the Game Boy camera with like the Wide Boy 64 that played Game Boy games, because you would then have to lift your whole console. And actually, thinking about it even further, I don't even think the Game Boy camera had a gyroscope, actually. I
don't
think
think
it
it
just
did
projected a
either.
static image and you moved it because it was a Game Boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be an impossible thing to do.
at
But-
the time, yes.
Yeah, more importantly, at the time of this recording, it would be super easy to make a Pokemon Snap game.
Yep.
Or a camera-based game. That would be fucking cool and people would like it.
Yep.
On most of Nintendo's current hardware.
Yeah.
Almost 100% of their current hardware.
Yeah, it was like a big, like, I don't know, the thing. I don't know a better word for it.
Yeah.
Like, when the
phenomenon.
Wii... When, like, the Wii came out, everyone was like, it would be great to do a Pokemon Snap game
With the pointer.
with the pointer and the Wii remote. And then that never happened, obviously. And then people said the same thing with the Wii U gamepad.
Which is like
but it was
even better.
more appropriate.
Yeah.
Because you can use it like a camera.
We did get the
More
Fatal
specific.
Frame game.
We did.
Yeah.
Which is like Pokemon Snap if the Pokemon were horrifying and trying to kill you.
And if the game had a story.
Right. Pokemon Snap has a story. It's one sentence long, but it is there.
I would argue that it has...
Get pictures of Pokemon.
Get paid.
And get a picture of Mew.
They did get the arduous journey to get the picture of Mew is at least like an implied narrative.
Yeah, there's the cutscene at the beginning where Todd almost gets a picture of Mew, but doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. Which is weird in itself.
And then you have to do there's all the progression sequences where you have to go back and get all of the photographs of the
signs.
mystical.
Yeah, Pokemon signs.
Yeah, I think that
Which implies kind of like that Mew was leaving a crumb trail for somebody to come find him.
Mew is kind of... That fits in with the narrative of Mew, I think.
yeah.
Like a trickster.
I don't know if he's
Like a
necessarily a trickster.
playful...
Yeah, he's playful. He likes people.
It's a sprite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
pun not intended.
Right. This game used 3D models and not sprites.
Uh-huh.
Cut from the cast.
I don't know. I think we will probably come back to this because it's kind of a big deal how many people like this game. It's important for the legacy of this game that there are that many people who wax poetic about it. But more in to how this game actually is.
Yeah.
all things considered, it's a really small game. You mentioned that it was that you felt like it was probably rushed out to meet demands of like Pokemon fans.
To be thrown into the maw of Pokemon fans.
Yeah, for 8 to 12-year-olds all over the country, myself included.
Yeah.
Yep. To make them the fattest stacks of cash.
But this game has really just 6 levels. And
Is that it?
and Rainbow Cloud as the
Yeah.
7th level, which is barely even a level. And it has 63 Pokemon. And since it actually contains Mew, that's 63 out of 151, not 150. So it seems crazy. Like like I feel like the levels I'm sure took effort to create, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No.
no
effort.
They just kind of slapped them together. But I feel like with just like a little bit more time, like they had the engine, they had all the models because of Pokemon Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have been.
Well, we don't know they had all the models done.
Yeah,
Well, we
there's a
established
year.
this came out before Pokemon
Right.
Stadium,
But
so
it came out in '99 in America, and I didn't actually see it yet. Like I didn't see it.
well, they were being developed around the same time,
Right, but Stadium released in Japan in '99 in April, like
Well, there you go.
early of '99.
So yeah, they probably could have borrowed the models
Yeah.
from Pokemon Stadium.
Uh,
Could it have been a memory thing?
It's possible. I mean, who knows really with development in that day and age.
I mean, the game has some hints within it of, like, weird tiny memory concerns. Like, the fact that you can only save 60 photographs.
Yeah.
Like, even the notion of, like, you can only have X number of photographs in any piece of, like, software. That's...
I remember having, like, digital cameras in the early 2000s that can only save, like, 50 pictures.
Yeah.
Just weird. It's
Yeah.
the difference in memory, I guess, but...
But you think those memory concerns are the reason why they had the Blockbuster tie-in printer? A blast from the past?
Oh, yeah, there's so many... Like, there are things... Okay. We're getting into a thing that is, like, my primary issue with the game, which is not something that could have been helped in 1999.
But it's a game almost specifically designed to make Blockbuster money. It's like the
Well-
best rental game ever made, and they incentivize you to come specifically to Blockbuster to rent it.
Yeah, like, if you go to Blockbuster and rent the game and like it, and then a week later they come out with the Blockbuster printer, and you're like, oh shit, gotta go rent it again. Play through the game again, and then print out my pictures. You know, I honestly didn't even think about any, like, nefarious marketing. Largely probably because I was less than 10 years old and probably was just super into the idea of printing my pictures.
Yeah, you were just going around being all like, oh shit, printers, yeah.
And I mean, like, I feel like it wasn't as relevant here, because I don't, like, did Blockbuster even have any competition here?
They had, like, extreme local competition, but nothing even...
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it
Mom
existed.
and pop video stores.
Yeah.
Hollywood Video as, like, a weird, like, sort of the big K brand of Blockbuster rental stores.
I don't think that counts.
You think? Well, you don't even think Hollywood Video counts as the big K of video
No,
stores?
I mean, I don't think that counts as competition for Blockbuster.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It is, by definition, competition.
But anyway.
Yeah, but Blockbuster was obviously the, like, big thing. It's funny that they got basically shut down by a vending machine, and then those got shut down by your laptop at home. So,
Oh, God. Yeah, Redbox was, like, part of the cultural conversation for...
I don't know, like 25 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
It
feel
was
like
it was
lasted-
relevant for about the length of Pokemon Snap.
But, like, yeah, I can't... That's really astonishing to think about how quickly we've moved through, like, weird Blockbuster replacements.
Yeah. Video rental store replacements. We got to use the generic terms. We're not showing brand loyalty to a now defunct DVD rental location.
Even though they gave you beautiful pictures of your crappy photography skills in Pokemon.
How long did... Never mind. Fuck it. Let's stop talking about
Totally
Blockbuster.
unrelated. Yeah. Abandoned ship. The thing that I was going to talk about before all of this.
Okay, let's get back on track.
Yeah, that Blockbuster
Get
only
back on
plays a
rails.
minor role in is that this game gives you a camera and says like take pictures, but like fulfill all of your Pokemon photography fantasies with your N64 at home, but then applies these like stringent rules to how the photograph should look. And not only that, but like has the special photographs, which I think is just a bad idea. And the reason for it being that like the best photograph of any given Pokemon is likely going to be very similar, and you get docked points for doing something like creative or but then they want you to be like, look at your unique photos that we told you were shit in game. Go to Blockbuster, print them out on your Game Boy camera, like, or your Game Boy printer, so you have a sticker of them and put them on your wall like an idiot, like I did.
It's just a weird tension that would never exist in the modern day. I feel like it was part of the justification back then to make it feel that they didn't feel like just taking photos of Pokemon was enough for their like tiny video game that they were releasing.
Right.
They had to have been conscious of like how little actual like game time they were putting out with all the model work that they were doing and all the different interactions they were making.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were self-conscious about that and just felt like they had to apply the point value and in order to at least it adds tension, and I like that.
Well, the thing, like, I feel like the judgment system of the game.
Yeah.
It sounds way harsher than it is. If like Oak praises you pretty much at every like step of the way.
Yeah.
You take a dumb picture of Slowpoke's ass, and he's like, "Your work is impeccable, amazing,
Wow, wonderful."
But the point system is valid in terms of like actually making the game feel like a game did in 1999. But like I don't think that a version of this game that was just freeform photography would be better necessarily.
It's just that the technology wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
Like where it couldn't like it judged on like very specific predetermined.
Yeah. There's an argument to be made that like a computer, like an AI, especially one as rudimentary as whatever system is in place in Pokemon Snap, is going to be able to judge the quality of art.
Right.
But when your art is like defined vignettes of 3D models that you created, you can kind of you can fudge the numbers and make something that can relatively like capture what you've taken a photo of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think part of I don't know if 8 to 12-year-olds in 1999 it was really practical to say that they could have taken this approach, but when we were playing it now, I think I had more fun just treating Oak's scores as if Oak was a separate character and not as if the scores were a judge of my performance.
Right.
Like going into the screen, you'd be like, "Oh man, what's Oak gonna think of this one?" And then you get all tense and wait for his little scorecard.
I feel like that's closer to how I would have felt when I was 8, though.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like that's how I've always perceived it or whatever.
Yeah, like Oak is just genuinely like pouring over these pictures and like, these two are really good. I don't know which one. I mean, I'll leave
He's
it up
like
to
sweating.
You. Yeah. This is fighting magma.
We can only keep one of these, man.
Every time you like deliver photographs to Oak, it's like he opened a pack of Pokemon cards. Like he's just super pumped about.
I'd like
everything.
to think that like after I showed him that Slowpoke ass picture, he like printed it out and put it on his wall.
Yeah, it's in a calendar. Slowpoke is the Pokemon of April.
Yes, his work is really impeccable. It's wall worthy.
Okay, so you recoiled a bit when I said, I don't agree, that might be kind of a strong term for what you did. You gave me a minorly skeptical look. I said that I feel like the special photographs are, like, not good.
Oh, I guess upon you explaining it like you did, it makes more sense. But I always remember that being, like, my favorite part about the game as a kid. But yeah, like, judging it from, like, from now, like, looking back and as an adult, It makes repeat playthroughs feel a little bit too samey.
Yeah.
Like you're always going to be going for that one specific picture of Pikachu on the balloons.
You fuck Pikachu on the balloons.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that the actually getting those pictures is a cool thing.
Yeah, but then once you've done it, it's like that's what you're always going to do again.
Yeah. And it kind of enforces that homogeneity where you could take a really great picture of Jigglypuff, but then have singing Jigglypuff just always wins.
Yeah.
Because they just give you points for it.
Mm-hmm.
If they just judge them on the same criteria they judge every other picture, I feel they'd be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
The technology just really wasn't there at the time, I think, for them to be able to have the kind of emergent system photography thing that we would prefer in the modern day. Because the most, going back at it, once now that we know all the secrets and all the silly little side stuff we can do in Pokemon Snap, it's what we want to have is enormous Metapod eye photograph of terror and fear, but the game can't really be designed around those sort of instances occurring.
Mm-hmm.
They give you some control with the apples in order to try and force things in certain directions. So because they want to keep it a one joystick game, that sort of limits their ability. That and the fact that they had to make it a rail shooter because they couldn't just build a 3D world on the N64.
For you to walk around in and take pictures?
At least not in whatever time frame they were working with once the children began clawing at the door.
Yeah. Not to mention that... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think the idea started there? Or do you think it was always conceived as an on-rail shooter?
Potentially. My only evidence for that belief, though, is in the design of the cart that you're going around in.
Yeah.
But the fact that it looks less like a train and more like a go-kart. Like a little
Right.
buggy.
Yeah, honestly, that cart is really the thing that, makes me unsure.
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like anyone envisioning this game, their first thought would be to do it like that, have you walk around and take
free
pictures.
roaming.
But every promotional image I've ever seen for this has Todd in the car.
In the 01, or
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
That thing.
Right.
That's probably what the license plate says.
That is probably what the license plate says.
Mystery solved.
Yeah. But, I was taking the car for granted. I was assuming you stay on the car the whole time. Because they need the car as an excuse for, why you don't get...
hurt.
Yeah, why you don't get murdered by eaten by everything. They need the Jurassic Park sphere in order for, Todd to feel like he's not in danger and it's okay
to
to
be
take
fair,
photos.
Todd should feel really endangered in the volcano level. Because, literally nothing safe is happening there.
Nope.
You're
And Charizard is right in his grill.
Yeah, breathing fire.
Yeah.
You can make him breathe fire. And, a bunch of things are breathing fire. Moltres is just dripping lava
Well,
above
yeah,
you.
also it would just be way too hot for him to survive.
Yeah.
This isn't the Pokemon universe. They can just make up whatever technology they wanted
That's
Obviously.
true.
as a stipulation. They can
Yeah,
turn matter into energy.
In the
so
TV
whatever.
show, Blaine's gym is inside a volcano.
Right.
An actual volcano over lava.
Yep.
Everyone's
So-
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do an entire podcast that's just talking about how goofy, Pokemon in the real world, quote unquote. So, something you don't really want to consider, but...
Sure. So
Yeah.
instead, I'm going to latch on to earlier conversations about these sort of very linear secrets that exist in the game in order to maximize picture points.
Right.
We've always been addressing this from the perspective, since we started talking about it, of three people who already know all of those things from the beginning, because none of us came in fresh to this game.
Yeah.
But I think that definitely has value as a first-time player. I think this game without those entirely, relying just totally on the sort of rare hysterical things you can catch in photographic form, would be way worse. I much prefer the fact that I can throw stink bombs into the volcano to make a coughing appear and other tiny little interactions. If it was really straight Safari, I feel it would just be so uninteractive.
Right.
Well, I think you're thinking too far on the opposite extreme. I think you could still theoretically have an open level, especially back on the N64, that was still linear. You still had a basic path to go along, but you could stray further from
Right, it's
where
not
you were
like
supposed
Grand
to go.
Theft Auto
Yeah.
Pokemon photography.
Yeah, like
I know.
not open world, but like
I was
think
just
like the
talking-
ideal like version of this game would have like a more open level structure like that.
Agreed. But I was just referring to, like, the apples and the bombs that you had, and, like, the way that you just go, okay, I hit that with that apple, and then this will happen, and I take a picture of that.
Right.
I'm talking about that stuff that's really wrote to us now.
Yeah.
Like, you could have an open world structure and still have a choice of whether or not you wanted to just be like a camera ghost flying around taking photos in a biome, or whether or not you were like a person that could throw apples and stink
Right.
bombs and flutes and such.
Yeah, I think I'll let you throw the flute.
You
You're
do.
like, fuck this flute. I see what you're saying. And my only argument against the, because I really like the special photos, like as a concept, because it does add a little bit of variety and it gives you reason to replay and gives you, because the unlock system in this game is based around points, like how many points you get in your Pokemon report.
Mm.
So actually having those as like a means for progression, where
Yeah.
you can, it allows for actual discovery in the game,
Mm-hmm.
which is really nice. The only issue that I take with it is just the like the point bonus you get for them.
Mm.
But they would have to restructure like the whole unlock system for that to work.
Yeah.
Basically, what this whole like first half of the podcast really is like leading up to, I think, is just like what is the ideal version of this game to exist? Like if they actually made a second Pokemon Snap.
Would you like a thesis statement from the two of us on what we think that is?
Well, I'm just curious because like it seems that everything that we've picked out, this tends to be these like things that are potentially limitations of the technology, potentially rushed design, of maybe a little bit of like just not thinking quite far enough outside the box for the game.
Yeah.
And we all have like ideas as to what could have been improved here.
Yeah. Well, I guess I remember thinking like back when the Wii was
The
the
Wii.
current console,
Right, got you.
that they should make a Pokemon Snap 2 and include literally all the Pokemon, which would have been way more doable then because there's only 400 something.
Yeah.
But now there's almost double that.
726? Something like that?
Yeah.
God.
So I don't know if that's necessarily doable anymore. It probably is.
Yeah.
The
But
technology is there,
yeah.
but it would be like hilarious amounts of work.
So I would think, yeah, hilarious.
Oh,
amounts of
actually,
work.
no, because we actually have 3D models of all the Pokemon
Yeah.
now.
Do we
They
have?
didn't
yeah.
exist in '99.
No.
Now they do, because the mainstream Pokemon games are just 3D.
Which is why they keep porting the sprites over into like all the other games.
Yeah.
Yes.
To not have to redo that work.
Yeah, the black and white sprite, or not black and white, but the X and Y sprites, or models, are used in the Pokédex app on the 3DS, Pokemon Go, and like the weird webpage thing. that you
Weird
can-
webpage thing?
Or like a Pokemon trainer club or whatever. They have like mini games.
I
that
forgot
use
about
those
that.
models as well.
Wasn't
Yeah.
there like a brief period of time where you had to do that as the only way to get some bullshit for
The hidden
Oh, like
abilities in black and
Dream World
white?
stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, the Dream World.
God, that was, what a botched idea.
Yep.
I mean, Pokemon is full of botched ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
It just usually kind of pulls it together.
But anyway, so I guess you would want to include literally all the Pokemon, because I think if you don't, there's going to be too many people that were expecting that and will be disappointed.
Right. What if you
Uh,
included all of the Pokemon except for Klefki?
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
That is acceptable. But then I guess yeah, it's become a numbers issue. I think then if you included literally all of them, the game would have to be fucking long as hell to get all the Pokemon. So I guess you'd probably see. Now I'm torn on this. Well, okay. Well, I'll move past this. You decide a certain number of Pokemon that is a lot more than just 60-some.
The
Yeah,
game that we
62.
have now reuses a lot of Pokemon in its levels.
Yes.
Like, there are lots of Geodudes in the rock levels, and Sandshrews, and Mankeys, and Poliwags in the Rivered level, and all
Right.
that sort of stuff.
And yet all of the, like, potential because it's cool to get like a group photo where you get like a bunch of them and they reward you for doing it, but it's kind of squandered in the fact that like it can only happen occasionally, there's not like a situation where you could get like 14 Pikachu in one area.
Yeah, the apples aren't enough of a way because they had to like it sort of divided the tracks into individual vignettes as you go down it. Like the whole experience is. They must have researched a whole lot of Disney parks in order to try and figure out how they wanted to structure this.
Yeah, it
almost
definitely
exactly
has a
what it
theme
feels
park
like.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of set pieces.
Which
You're
is
in the
like-
middle of your thesis. I apologize.
I'm just kind of spitballing. I used to have like a really clear like opinion, but like just how many Pokemon there are now kind of throws a wrench into it.
Yeah.
But then I think you would want to have the free roaming, but with like still linear levels. I think it's still the ideal way to go. And then you would want to have just more variety in the locations, and you would want to have probably like 3 times at least as many like courses.
Yeah.
And like maybe more of a story. I mean, I feel like that's not as important, but it would be something that I would appreciate.
Of course, it would be something you would appreciate.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know if even you would appreciate that.
I mean, like I don't want like
Think about Game Freak's like quality of
True.
writing.
I still think their more simple attempts at stories are their best.
Yeah.
So,
Like the Mount... Is it Mount Moon? No. It's the, like, Silver Mountain or whatever.
Mount Coronet.
No, in Gold and Silver.
Oh, that's just Mount Silver.
Yeah. Like, Mount Silver is my general go-to, is, like, them just getting out of their own way so much and putting so much little there for you to connect the dots yourself that it ends up being this, like, incredible moment that everyone talks about.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, and when I say, like, more of a story, I still mean, like, super simple story, but just, like, something to pull you along. Like, give you a little bit more motivation.
The modern Pokemon Snap would have to, like... They had to play up exploration aspects of it a whole lot. They'd want to distance themselves from, like, the rail shooter aspects and how much the Pokemon are sort of put in your face now that we have the ability to have you go out and seek the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like Far Cry Primal, but with happiness instead of sadness.
Yeah, and I also feel like using the 3DS might actually be, like, the best, like, console to put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it's got the camera, it already kind of feels like a camera in your hands. It's got a built-in gyroscope that you could use to, like, look around further, you know? And having, I don't know, maybe you can use the AR, or whatever you call it, AR cards, like some kind of functionality with the scanner in the game.
You find cards hidden in the actual world. Uncover the crazy conspiracy of Pokemon across the entirety of the U.S. and Japan.
Yeah, I think like the main like thing people would want is like this expanded feeling of scope and like a more of an emphasis on like exploring and finding like unique situations in like larger but still linear levels.
I feel like they kind of hedged their bets on that approach in the most bare bones form possible by adding the camera functionality into Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so like half baked.
Yeah.
Too, because all it is like, is there a Pokemon like comically hanging onto your friend's ass? Like, take a picture of it.
Yeah, see,
because like actually using the camera functionality is basically the same as just taking a screenshot.
Yeah, that feels like it could have
weird.
been really great as like an optional or like an additional like feature in a Pokemon Snap game.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can use that on the 3DS camera. Like that. Imagine that's the AR like functionality. Is that like you can like project Pokemon onto the real world and take pictures of them in goofy spots.
Yeah.
I think that like with all the technology packed into the fucking 3DS, they would be the easiest like out of the box solution for developing a new Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, and like the stylus would probably be really like
stupid and lame.
Yeah. I don't think projection's like the long-term solution that you want because you couldn't have like environmental interactions that are most of the fun that you have in Snap.
Right.
Like you couldn't like find a AR volcano. Or I guess maybe
if you went to Hawaii,
I mean,
actually like
I wouldn't
approach
think
the volcano.
I don't think you could really incorporate it into like the core of the gameplay. I think it would just have to be like a bonus feature.
Yeah.
The real world doesn't have level design.
Yeah.
It does not. They could maybe even have like a mini game or like some kind of like mode where you like project the Pokemon onto the real world and do something.
Yeah. But what they would definitely need is to sort of get rid of the like, and now we're in the weird cutout beside a river where these three people are, and then we get to the next weird cutout beside a river where these three are.
It just has like literally the same design problems that we take with the original game, but like like hastily shoehorned onto the real world. They're like, Google Maps says there's a lake here, throw 3 Poliwags and have them run along the edge of it. It'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, they thought trying to make sprites for like 700 Pokemon was difficult. They can instead attempt to select locations for Pokemon in the entirety of the United States.
Yeah, to attempt to create vignettes. That would be a little weird.
So we've talked a bunch about what we think the game would be in the present day. What is it now?
Well, the reason for the conversation was basically to expand on what we kind of think are the flaws of this game.
Yeah.
Because it is like a flawed game, but it's a game that like everyone loves.
Yeah, and that begs the question of why does everyone love this?
Right. So like, how do you guys actually feel about this game? Like, do you like this game?
I think the game without any secrets is trash. I think.
What do you mean by without any secrets? Like, what do you mean by secrets?
If I had no apples, no pester balls, no flute, if it was just the camera and the rails and stuff happening.
Okay, well, you're just taking the whole game away from the game.
I'm aware. It's because
Okay.
I'm not done with my statement.
Sorry, God. It
Chad
seemed like
Rutherman.
you stopped and paused for a while. It was just for effect, because...
It was for just, thought,
Alright.
anticipation. I thought, like, again, the, like, core conceit of the game, which is just you take photos of Pokemon on a prescribed rail,
Right.
I actually don't think is that fun. I think what is fun is feeling like you're in an environment and that you have limited interactions with these Pokemon. I like being able to hit them with apples. I like being able to lure them places with apples. I like feeling like you can actually manipulate what's going on around you. It seems more engaging to me than just what I assume was the like elevator pitch for this game, which is the safari with Pokemon.
Yeah.
So the game in its present state, as sort of us going back, unless it's a party atmosphere where we can all sit around and like laugh at the hilarity of the things that happen accidentally on screen sometimes,
Right.
I would never go back and play this game ever again, like by myself, because I've gotten everything out of it. I know all the interactions because the interactions are so very prescribed, and the chance of me having the hilarious thing that I chuckle to myself at is so low that it doesn't have the replay value. It's why this is like the rental game of all rental games. I feel like the interactions that are there are fun and amusing, but most of the appeal is just because it's goddamn Pokemon.
And they can literally sell anything with Pokemon attached to
I
it.
know, if I can just like roll a little apple up in front of a Bulbasaur, and he'll be like, "Ah!"
And then later, Professor Oak tells you that was a great photo because of his happy face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need apples.
And, okay, so I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn here, or, like, putting words in your mouth, but I feel like Andy and I both sort of disagree with that in as much as the replay value.
Yeah.
So I know that I at least played this game over and over again, like, by myself, no one else was there, just, like, slowly perfecting my Pokemon report.
Now, by perfecting, do you mean in the point values?
Yeah, like getting as high of a score as I could. Which is, I mean, gross and weird.
It's intention. That's what the points are there for. It's adding the arcadey element to keep you people who like to break high scores are going to like that aspect of the game.
Right, but there's a distinction between finding the act of breaking a high score enjoyable and that being the purpose of your point system, and attempting to optimize to a high score.
Yeah.
Like, you can be one type of person without necessarily being the other type of person. But
Well,
we
the
never asked
difference-
if you concurred. Though,
Oh,
Andy.
yeah.
I feel like your stance on it is like completely reasonable. But I think it's just different types of people are going to fall on like your side of the fence.
Yeah.
Or more towards like mine and Chad's side of the fence. Because like I love this game.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it then and I still love it now. And a lot of it does have to do with nostalgia.
Yeah.
But like trying to divorce myself from that, I like walking simulators.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is almost like an ideal kind of version of that. Because it's giving you like an on-rails like environment to essentially walk through. But it's giving you something more interactive to do. But like the appeal is still like walking through and looking at stuff.
Right.
So
I guess if I had to clarify my statement so that people on the internet don't think that I just like generally hate safaris.
yeah.
Like,
It is acceptable to hate safaris. That is not a thing that anyone's going to call you out on.
sure. There is a version of this game that has no interactive elements that is a straight safari that I'd like, but the version of that game would require like AI models and possible interactions between Pokemon that are so far advanced compared to what they could have done on the N64.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even sure like the level of interactions that would have to exist for me to just enjoy sneaking around and taking photos of Pokemon could like exist in an acceptable form today or not, but I'm open to question on that.
I think we're kind of stumbling onto like the reason why people like this game so much, even today, is I think there's something enjoyable, like weirdly, something enjoyable about playing the game and like being like, oh, like and thinking about how it could be better. You know what I mean? Like, because like you play the game and you're like, oh, they could have done this and that would have been cool, and like that's enjoyable.
I think that there's like, it's just like a, what, 1999, there's a 17-year removal, but it's still immersive in like a weird meta way.
Yes.
Because when you played this game as a child, you were immersed in the game because it was a game that was like, it's Pokemon, I'm taking pictures of Pokemon. They seem, to your mind, to be acting naturally the way that they would if they were actual Pokemon. And that like just fucking bombed your brain and you had no idea what was happening. And then now, it's like you're immersed in the game in as much as you're interested in, like, the system that it provides you. You're like, what is this thing that I loved so much 17 years ago, and why is it so good? Why do I have these memories of it? And, like, what could have been?
The buttons are so much clearer now. I also love that Pokemon and how they would behave in their natural environment to the mind of a 10-year-old child is like, a Pikachu would totally get on that surfboard.
And just straight, just be cheesing. Like...
Is that a surfboarding term, cheesing?
No, that's when you, like, pose for a picture.
Oh. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, you cheesing.
Oh.
But yeah, I think that's why we keep circling back around to, like, our ideal version, like, ideas of the game.
I don't think I've ever had a conversation about this game with anyone that didn't in some way relate to, like, a possible future Pokémon Snap game. Like, it's something that's so in demand, and I was a little bit quiet, like, a little bit ago. I was on my phone. I was trying to find a quote from Masuda, who's the head of the Pokemon company.
Mm-hmm.
And evidently, this is... I've read this quote before, but...
Do you know how old the quote is? Because, like I brought up, this has been, like, a 10-year thing.
Yeah.
That people wanted a Pokemon Snap too.
Yeah, the quote is at least since the release of the Wii U, because he mentions it specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
But basically he's saying that they get it all the time, but they are the Pokemon company, and this game was made by HAL. So all they've said basically is that it seems as though a lot of people want it, but they don't want the game to be too predictable. And they always say that, and then they keep releasing Pokemon games that are functionally identical every year. But they aren't stopping the game from being made.
Okay.
That they're just, like, not... It's not even a thing they're thinking about.
Yeah.
So.
I've also heard that they've stated that they don't just want to make the same game again,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't have any, like, ideas of what they could do new, so they don't want to make it.
Right.
In all these conversations that we have about Pokemon Snap, and it's like hypothetical things that it could do better or things that are missing from the original version. Why is that conversation always taken in such a positive light? Like, you could think of like any other given game where like, oh god, this game would be so much better if it just had this, and it's like a huge disappointment, and it's always talked about negatively.
Right.
Why is it like a hope for the future thing in Pokemon Snap's case?
This is the cheesiest thing I will probably ever say.
Okay.
And that is because we love fucking Pokemon. Like, we, as human beings who played Pokemon when it was released, and who have picked up, and kids these days who have picked up Pokemon since then, it is such an enrapturing franchise that people who are big fans of the games want Pokemon to be real. Like, people want to, like, go outside and play with their pet Growlithe and shit. And are, like, it's like the last remaining, like, childhood hope of just, like, really loving a thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really great train of thought there. Because, like, that's why Pokemon Go is so popular. It's like you can project them onto the real world, and, like, it's that much easier to pretend that they're real.
Right.
Like, I feel like people...
Just like to interject, just so that we don't come off as crazy, we don't actually think that Pokemon could ever be real.
Right. And
it's a long metaphor.
so... And I think Pokemon Snap kind of people think of that as like this kind of golden opportunity to really get that idea right.
Yeah.
Because it feels like this game, from like a pulled back perspective, is the game that doesn't have the system. Like, it's not a gamey JRPG in the way the main series games are. This one really does feel like these worlds, like, or in 1999 and in our fucking hearts and minds,
Yes.
This game feels like these worlds exist with Pokemon in them, and you're just out there looking at them.
It delivers that missing element from the main series games. Because, like, in the main series games, you walk into the grass, and then the screen flashes, and then you're brought into, like, a little arena battle.
Yeah.
Right.
With grass
That's turn-based.
that almost always looks the same. And
Yes. And, like, this game, like, lets you, like, inhabit the world of Pokemon and see the Pokemon walking around. And I think that's just something people have always wanted.
Yeah. Whether or not that world happens to be our world or a world that we can go in like a weird little 0-1 ball orb thing.
Right.
Regardless, as long as we can inhabit and see them just sort of dicking around in various environments, we'll be really appreciative of that.
Yeah, and I think it's also, like, especially appealing to, like, people our age specifically. Because, like, to anyone listening who doesn't know, we're all, like, mid-20s.
Right.
So we were, like, in the first grade when Pokemon came out. So, like, we're, like, at ground zero
Yeah.
of Pokemon. Like,
we are like,
we were the
Pokemon
target
generation.
audience, yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like people our age who like Pokemon still, like, it's just that lasting shockwave effect that Pokemon has had that, like, people really want that interacting with Pokemon Safari experience.
Because you could create all sorts of, like, real-world vignette-style games of things that aren't Pokemon, and they would fail so hard, so fast. Even if you did, like, the cool real-world integration stuff that everyone else learned. Like, I don't know why this conversation just made me remember this, because this has got to be something that's been real deep back there for many decades. But do you guys remember the scanners? And this could be because there's probably been a million things named scanners with a Z. But,
okay. The Z, like, brought it back. So it was like, I remember the horror movie from the 80s, Scanners.
yeah, there's been many scanners things.
Yeah.
Like, I'll probably have the name wrong, but this should be the name of this product anyway.
Mm.
But they were these little devices that were like Tamagotchis, but the things were big and ugly looking and the size of your hand, and they were just barcode scanners.
Yep.
And you would scan
Oh,
barcodes to find creatures.
Yep, I
Yes,
had one. It was real goofy.
I didn't have one, but I do remember that.
Yeah. So, like, that is like a really contrived version of what Pokemon Go is now. Mm-hmm. And the memory is like deep under many layers of bedrock and sandstone because we give no shits about whatever the actual things were that we were finding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were like scanning a soup can and you get an Ekans out of it, like fucking people would be all over that shit, and nobody would even venture to question why this was even a thing.
Yeah.
God. I feel like that would be so ludicrously successful, just like Pokemon Go,
Right.
that like it would be all over the news in a similar fashion, where like all these accidents keep happening at grocery stores, just like a bunch of like 12-year-olds to like 30-year-olds running around the Kroger.
Yeah.
There's like specific barcodes that have super rare Pokemon.
That's
so,
what I
like,
was just
Just
gonna
like
say.
fighting each other over like the soup.
Yeah, like the fucking like one box of Rice Krispies, and like oh my god, this is gonna Blastoise on it. People fucking like start tearing heads off trying to get to it.
It's like it's like a scene from a movie where like somebody picks it up and it's like, oh man, there's a Blastoise in this, and like everything goes quiet and like everyone turns and looks at them.
People like climbing over shelves and jumping down.
Yeah. And that's what Pokemon inspires in all of us. That
Yeah.
we would society would cease if Pokemon ever, like, there's the Pokemon priority, and
Oh.
there's, like, the social obligations down here.
Yeah.
Fucking VR, Pokemon Snap.
This is something that I was like, I was concerned about even mentioning. You're in a cart. You don't have to have movement controls. All
Right.
you need are your hands and your
God,
eyes.
that could be
God.
the kind of killer app that VR needs and will never have because it's a Nintendo property. I mean, like, I think Pokemon Snap VR would sell so many VR headsets.
God, you could actually throw the little balls of stink to,
Yeah.
like...
Throw in the
balls.
actual pester balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, think of how great it would be as if throwing a pester ball was, like, literally you picking up and just, like, decking a Pikachu right in the face.
Like, the speed of your hand actually dictates how fast the ball goes. They couldn't do that because then they would have a bunch of, like, Wiimote through TV situations.
Yeah.
Like they
I mean,
did.
all of the current VR like handheld peripherals already come with a strap because
of course.
the idea of VR generally is to like fully immerse yourself in a game, and therefore you would think to let go of the thing you're throwing because that's what you do in real life.
Yeah.
It's just dangerous.
It's once just illustrating like how much like of a like vice grip Pokemon has on like the public conscious.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
like
a
throwing
really
it-
specific subset of the public.
Yeah, a
conscious,
subset
but
of the
a
public,
huge
but like
people. Yeah.
just the act of like throwing a Pokeball in VR seems like super appealing.
Yeah, like
like
incredibly
and
satisfying.
just that alone.
God.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it's just incredible how much, like, not, I guess, I think it's lazy to just call it nostalgia. I think what it actually is, I think attachment's more appropriate here. Because it's
Yeah.
not just, I don't love Pokemon because I love my childhood. Pokemon is just a thing that I love independent of that childhood.
Right.
Yeah,
It's-
I feel like my love of it is deepened though because of how it affected my
Like how
childhood,
integral it is
which
into
is
your-
like
yeah.
Yeah.
which is nostalgia.
It's the same kind of thing that like leads people our age to be like huge Harry Potter fans, where it's like it's a thing that we literally grew up with.
Yeah.
Like our earliest formative memories of playing games likely involved Pokemon in some way, and as you continue, the games keep coming out, spin-offs come out, you buy them, your parents buy them, and then eventually you're at Walmart at 2 a.m. on the release day of X and Y, breaking the promise that you made to yourself that you would never buy a 3DS.
God, every single like for the last couple of generations, I gotten a little burnout on the main series games, and I'm always like, unless they like make like a full 3D game, I probably might not get the next Pokemon game.
You're so pumped.
And then they did.
Yeah.
And then they made Pokemon X and Y, and I'm like, well, okay, Pokemon X and Y was a little underwhelming. And then they remade Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I was like, I'm gonna have to get that. And then I was like, okay. they made the transition to 3D, but they didn't actually really change the game design at all, and that's disappointing. So I probably won't get the next one. And now they're coming out with Sun and Moon, and it looks super cool. And I'm gonna have to get it. Like, Pokemon is like, we're all like fish, and they're the fishermen. They like keep giving us some slack, and they reel us back in.
This is probably sort of tainted by how much Pokemon Go has influenced public consciousness currently.
Yeah.
But Sun and Moon is like officially the most pre-ordered Nintendo game in history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, people got to get that Munchlax.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, your pre-order bonus is a Munchlax.
Oh, god damn it, really?
On that really weird metaphor and a comment about Pokemon Sun and Moon, let's go into the break, because I have no idea what the hell we're even talking about anymore, and we'll try and figure something out. Welcome back from the break. What the fuck else do we even have to talk about with this game?
I thought the, like, Mew shit was weird.
Yeah.
I thought Mew was weird and shit.
That part where like you found Mew shit or in all the levels
Right.
that led you to where
You're like,
Mew was.
This is a coprolite sample of an ancient Pokemon, Mew.
What is a coprolite?
It's like the scientific term for like fossilized poop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why do you know
you
that?
dumbass.
Jurassic Park.
Oh, Jurassic Park. That makes sense.
I don't even know if they used the term, but that like made me, as I think every kid in the 90s, spiral into a weird dinosaur obsession.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah,
Mew is strange in its implementation.
it's not even technically wrong to say that you find Mew shit all over the place. It's just not literally shit. It's
Right.
like Mew
Yeah.
paraphernalia. I get why they did all the secrets, just because it's a video game and they didn't have a whole lot else they can do other than just try and make cool little weird level design secrets.
Yeah.
But the actual level I thought was odd because they like completely intentionally forego all of the like environmental exploration.
I want to get into what you're talking about, but I think that it is not prudent to skip over like the Pokemon signs as like a concept.
Okay.
Because before you get to Rainbow Cloud, like you do have to take photographs of all of these signs.
Yeah, because I was being pretty dismissive of the signs.
You were gonna be supposed to the
Yeah.
signs.
So what happens is after you've gone through all the levels, Professor Oak gives you the speed up, power up, whatever.
Right.
That enhanced engine or whatever the fuck it is. And you can then speed through the levels again to get the Pokemon signs, which are basically just like natural formations and things of that nature that look like Pokemon that you take pictures of.
Right.
That unlock the final level.
Right, and I think they're like arguably one of the more clever design decisions in the game, because it's the only thing that makes you not only be looking at Pokemon models. Like, it's a thing that you actually have to keep an eye out for, and even occasionally even like solve puzzles to like see and understand what they're going for.
Yeah, they do have varying levels of sort of not just complexity to access, but how easy or difficult it is to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess it depends on how observant you are as a 10-year-old, but like I barely even count like the Doug Trio land.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that one is literally just Doug Trio's face
that one, I
on a
think,
mountain. It's
is-
like Mount Rushmore with Doug
Yeah,
Trio.
I think that one's supposed to be like the introduction to the concept, because you see that so obviously. Like, you probably have seen at least one so far, but like that one definitely sticks out in your memory, and then right after that level is when you're told that they exist. So you're like, oh, that Doug Trio mountain.
I would love to be the kid that took the photo of that, just assuming it was the best Doug Trio in
Like
the history of time.
hugest
Yes.
Doug Trio ever.
It's a level 1 million Doug Trio.
Yeah. Once your Doug Trio becomes, transcends level 100 and becomes like a god.
Lord Doug Trio.
Atlas Doug Trio. The world is actually just its body below
Right.
the little thing.
Its heads are just its head in actuality.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really what I wanted to say about Pokemon Snap. I think that they're really cool, and I'm glad that they exist.
Yeah, if nothing else, they add like some variety to the game.
Yeah.
And they're pretty memorable.
I really liked the complex ones more, because I found those to trigger my memories. Like, the fact that the Kingler one sort of just looks like a polygon mess until you get to the right angle. The shock of finding the Mewtwo stars.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Whatever any of this means, frankly.
None of it makes sense in terms of, like... there's obviously literally nothing special ever about a Kingler. Like,
Nope.
no one has ever... Kingler is no one's favorite Pokemon. And yet, like, Kingler gets to be one of the 6
Pokemon
immortalized in the Mew level. Yeah.
What about Connie's Kingler? It's an important Kingler.
Fuck
Who
is
the
Connie?
fuck is Connie?
Connie with a K. Like the Kingler of Connie's Castle?
What? Is that an episode of the show?
No. Like, it's...
Is this
What?
a totally made up thing?
Is this
No.
your fan fiction?
It's not. It's the like...
Is it
social...
like a redheaded little girl in a castle with a Kingler
No.
who like protects her?
It's actually the opposite of that. In that Connie's Castle...
It's a blonde man.
Oh, who's an adult?
Yeah.
Connie's Castle is like a tiny one-room gambling establishment. That
Yeah, I have been there.
that exists. Connie's Castle is a Pokemon gym in Go,
Oh.
and I have made it my mission to only fill it with Kinglers, and I keep trying to...
Neither of us were, like, aware of this as a thing before just now.
You've never, like, seen
Connie's-
the Kinglers?
I know,
Connie's-
every time I go by that area, it's always, like, owned by Valor. Those bastards.
Connie's Kingler Castle just sounds like an episode of the show. Though.
Yeah.
Which is why I immediately attached to it and be like,
Yeah.
nope, only Kinglers in this castle. And it's great because the only reason you see Kinglers like in a gym and Go is if someone got the joke. So like when I like made up the gym and then like 2 other people threw their Kinglers into the pile.
I'm just gonna go. I need to go put my Kingler in Connie's Castle now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Just shove that Kingler
I was thinking about this slightly earlier, and I swear we will get back to talking about Mew. But I love that, like, because this game came out in '99, the only people who would even be listening to this podcast are probably also in their 20s.
Yeah.
But it's great that, like, we're just like, what the fuck is Mew doing? Like, Pokemon Snap is, like, literally the most innocent game imaginable.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even point to it as, like, a nefarious shovelware game that happens to also be made for 4-year-old girls. This is just, like...
Yeah, it really does straddle the line between, like, cash grab and innocent thing that you love.
Right.
Yeah, it does a good job of not seeming like a thing that just wants your money, even though that's clearly the reason that it exists.
But anything with Pokemon's name on it is going to get your money anyway.
Yeah.
So...
They can just have their, like, innocent whatever the fuck ideas.
yeah, they have to make a game that is not bad.
Yeah.
Pokemon Snap gets to have its cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Are you done with all your bullshit related
No,
to the rock structures?
Probably
Chad?
not.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens.
Well, Mew...
Do you know about Geodes?
I do!
Okay, come on.
So, Mew is not, like, really in an environment. It's... The Mew level, since it's, like, moderately difficult to access in the first place, I sort of consider, like, a secret in and of itself. Do you think that's fair?
No.
I think the existence of the Mew level constitutes a secret.
Because the game tells you how to get to it specifically.
It does? It's been so long.
Yeah, like, after you finish the valley, which is like the last regular level, Oak's like, get all these Pokemon signs. And then when you do, it just unlocks the level.
Oh.
Does it give you a reason to get them?
No, I'd say its actual, like, what it is and its actual existence is a secret, but, like, everyone's gonna find it because the game leads you straight to it.
So it's the same sort of, like, ambiguous presence of a secret in the same way that, like, Undertale's endings can be. Or most of them are very, very explicitly either marked or are just, after you beat the game, implied to be a thing you're supposed to do. But...
I don't know if that's the best comparison, but yeah, I think.
Okay. But, okay. So it seems like they intentionally completely abandoned any notion that like Mew is like in an environment. Mew is now just in like space clouds, which they at least took the time to like have the constellations of Kingler, Coughing, Mewtwo, Pinsir, Cubone, Dugtrio.
Yeah.
Yes.
The legendary 6 gods of the Pokemon universe, all just sort of sprinkled up into the sky. And
we should make a team of those 6 and see what happens.
Should. Oh yeah, the fact that 6 is a really important number in the Pokemon series just occurred to me too. But they like, it seems like they decided to shift the main appeal from the camera exploration game that we've been talking about most of the time into something kind of resembling an actual shooter, because that's what they could do with the mechanics set. It's sort of like just a Junkrat level, like extreme proto TF2 whatever that guy was. Demo Man. Yeah.
It basically feels like they were like, how do we essentially do a boss fight in this game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Mew is.
Yeah, you have a single target who takes like a set number of hits before dancing, and then you can take a picture of him.
Yeah.
The idea of the camera flash being the enemy, I thought was really creative. I bet the guy whoever came up with that last minute was really excited about it.
I think it was like crunch time.
I remember it being one of those things, like as a kid, it being like super frustrating and stressful to try to get like a picture of Mew. So I always thought it was really effective in that way, that like, am I gonna be able to get him before the stage runs out?
Yeah. Right. As a kid, I just hilariously never got it. Ever.
Oh, yeah?
I never understood. I just never bridged that mechanical gap and started treating it like a shooter with the stink bombs. Although that's clearly just me being stupid, not anything wrong with the signaling of the game. Like, I just was a kid who was like, I don't want to have Mew be scared away, so I never pressed the button to try and like throw a stinky thing at it. I just wanted it to be peaceful and loving, and I was okay with it not wanting to be, photographed. Apparently the game really wants you to just do anything in your fucking power to get a photograph of Mew.
It just busted out of its protective bubble.
If we were taking this we were thinking about it realistically, like getting a picture of Mew would be a huge deal.
Yeah. Like, no matter how much you love Pokemon,
it'd be like if you
you'd
saw
have like $1 billion photograph on your hand.
Like it'd be like if you saw a unicorn in real life and you were like, I won't take a picture of it, even though I totally have the ability to take a picture of it. It
probably doesn't want to have its picture taken.
Yeah, but like, with the unicorn example, that's closer to the way the rest of Pokemon Snap is, where you're just walking through an environment and then suddenly, like, a beautiful thing. You take a picture of a beautiful thing. And sometimes you have to interact to get them to do the things that you want, but most of the time, it's just the safari treatment. Like, in order for the unicorn example to be comparable, the unicorn would have to be, like, taking active measures to not be photographed specifically.
Well, I was making the comparison of, like, its rarity.
Yeah, I know. But what mattered to me wasn't, when I was a kid anyway, was not the rarity of Mew. It was that, like, I didn't want...
So you just weren't role-playing as Todd Snap.
Assuming Todd Snap is, like...
Would stop at nothing to get a picture of Mew.
Yes. Assuming Todd Snap is this weird authoritarian guy who's, like, made it his life's mission to find this Mew and photograph it.
I think they try to set that up with the opening cutscene. Well, it's like a personal mission.
It's just that he's seen the Mew.
Yeah, and like so he has that itch to like find it again and get a picture of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's also notable to some extent that like you associate your player character in a main series Pokemon game as like yourself. You don't think of yourself as Ash Ketchum, or Red, but you could think of yourself as Red. But you would never think of yourself as Ash Ketchum.
No.
I mean, maybe somebody
because Ash is a defined character.
Right. But Todd Snap gets his name from the anime. Mm-hmm. So you could be like, Todd Snap might do anything in his power to get this Mew. But JJ, the character I'm playing as, me, is going to let that Mew be an okay guy floating around.
Maybe it's just because I think the pester balls are a way bigger deal than they actually are.
You seem to have imposed this idea that the pester balls like smell bad.
Yeah.
But they release like a puff of pink gas, which is like the universal sign for like a pleasant rosy smell.
It's purple gas, which is a signal for poison.
Yeah.
Look up the Wikipedia on the Pester
On
Ball.
Pester Balls?
Yeah, it's like it releases like a nauseous gas that like makes the Pokemon like sick
Yeah, vomit
or something.
horribly.
Yeah, like it. But
I assume it was just like coughing juice they compressed.
that's something that like I never even really thought about as a kid. I always found like the Pester Balls to be like super satisfying to use. Even though it clearly like hurts certain Pokemon when you hit them with it.
Yeah. I was really erratic about the things as a child that I was like pro hurting and against hurting.
Okay, here it is.
They release a noxious Pokemon repellent that can knock out or stun a Pokemon.
Yeah. So you're lobbing that.
Yeah. I don't want to do
Yeah,
either of those
innocent
things
Pokemon.
to Mew. If it was just like fucking Shelter, who gives a shit? There's like millions of those. They'll get on with it. But I mean, like, you wouldn't throw a noxious gas at a unicorn.
Probably not.
I mean, you're like
For most of the time.
100% positive that it'll survive the experience. I'm sure that a lot of people would just shoot a unicorn.
Yeah, it would be
figure
like
out.
tranquilizing it, but less extreme.
Yeah.
I generally don't know the extremeness of tranquilizer darts.
But I mean, like, you're like making it go unconscious. Whereas, like, a Pester Ball is just going to stun them for like 2 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which seems not nearly as bad.
So maybe, like, would you flashbang a unicorn?
Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
To get a fucking picture of a unicorn?
Yeah, I'd probably flashbang.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If I had like the requisite $300 in the buy phase to buy the flashbang grenades.
Yeah, I guess you guys have sold me on it. I would flashbang a unicorn.
Okay. On that note.
What do you like about Pokemon Snap, Chad?
Wow, you're just taking. I'm the host of this show, JJ. Stay in your lane.
Know your place.
What do you like about this game, JJ? Yeah. Do we have like final thoughts or anything like pressing that we haven't brought up yet?
No, I'm good.
Literally
Tiny.
nothing. Like the mechanics of this game is just so simplistic because you're just taking photos is like your primary verb, and then occasionally like the apples. What do they call them in game?
Apples.
God damn it! I feel like you're right, but I think that
They are just apples.
They are
don't
just
call
literally
them, They don't
apples.
call them
Poke
something.
apples?
Poke
Say,
fruit. I'm pretty sure that it's just apples.
They're not like Caterpie candy or something? That'd be a reasonable...
Caterpie candy.
Because they're worms. They
you're like
live in there.
like I actually can't think. They don't actually name a food after Pokemon like ever. In the
Really?
Pokemon, yeah. It's always like lava cookies, unless it literally is part of a Pokemon like Slowpoke Tails.
I guess they do just have like soda, lemonade.
Yeah.
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 Bottled water, only $200 a piece.
Damn
But
inflation.
anyway, you have apples.
Right. So you have apples that are like used as a lure or like as a breadcrumb trail.
Or to whack something.
Right. Whack something, but not super hard.
Right.
And then when you want to whack something super hard, you use the Pester Balls. And then the flute, which just like, you may as well just attempt to use it on everything and see what happens.
Oh yeah, that's something. Why are there 3 different flute tracks?
There are 2 flute tracks.
Why are there 2
Is the
different
third one?
flute
There's a
tracks?
third one.
Why are there 3 different flute tracks?
Flute tracks. It's like hit clips.
I don't think it ever actually has any
Yeah.
kind of a mechanic. Like, it will make, like, Pokemon that react to it will usually have, like, a slightly different reaction to the different songs.
Dude, I don't even think that's true.
Snorlax
The
will do a
Snorlax,
different dance. to
Oh,
each song.
yeah.
And
That's
so-
going to be the only one.
And so will
Yeah.
the Gravelers.
They
And
have
so
a
do
different
the
dance?
Yeah, so do
Oh.
the Jinxes. They all have a different dance to the different songs.
It's just a weird, redundant thing.
Yeah.
I just imagine Todd Snap doesn't want to just keep playing the same song over and over again.
Yeah.
He's got the passion for music in his heart.
But he's not like playing the song like pressing a stereo button. He's like literally just like playing.
I'm assuming that he's literally playing the flute, even
Yeah.
though you can play the flute and take photos at the same time.
Where does every child in the Pokemon universe have the ability to just play a flute?
They're really. I think they're like
imagine-
recorders,
Yeah.
so they're just really easy to
And
play.
I also imagine you don't like need to play a specific song for it to work. Like I think you could just like put it to your mouth and play a note.
Like
and
a
it would
dog whistle.
and it would probably wake up Snorlax or whatever the fuck you need it for.
Man, dog whistles that also made music would be cool but unappreciable by us.
I'm a professional dog whistle player.
Well, yeah, that would be ridiculous. It's like literally, it's a thing that no human being would ever even realize was happening.
You would just be sort of fiddling. And the dogs would presumably be dancing.
Dogs would be dancing. Thank you for listening to NOCLIP this week.
What are we talking about next time?
Next time, we're going to talk about as much of Assassin's Creed 2 as we can. I probably shouldn't just preface it by being like, we're not going to finish this game. Next week, we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed 2.
Dude, we got deep into Skyrim. I have faith in us.
I don't know. This game is going to be long, and I have, like, basically 3 days available to play it, so we'll see what happens.
72 hours of Creed.
Dude, I also need to, like, sleep
Nah.
and eat food.
Nah.
I guess I could eat while playing. And if there's anything you can do in the game by just walking forward, I can maybe sleep while just holding the W key.
I don't think they're going to have any microwave rooms in Assassin's Creed.
No, we'll see what happens. If you want to get a hold of us and let us know how to beat Assassin's Creed while sleeping, you can do so at noclippodcast@gmail.com, on our website, noclippodcast.com, on YouTube, just NoClip, on Twitter, @noclippodcast, and, of course, you are likely listening to us on iTunes. If you're not, check it out, and leave a review, a rating, tell us we're great. You want to say goodbye?
No.
This week I will, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Goodbye.
Do you remember Batman Loves Him a Criminal?
Maybe?
It's the, like, predictive text Batman story that they wrote on Metal Thumbs.
Yes!
We went to, this is just yesterday, we went to the blog that, like, compiles all of these.
Oh, God.
And just were reading them, and they're so good.
Dude, read the Megabus review,
Alright.
if you can find it.
Megabus is where I am the best of people. Megabus, fuck me. Megabus is definitely no taxi. Megabus is better than a sidewalk. Megabus is like sitting on a plane to the destination. Megabus is responsible for my trips from beginning to end. I can pay cash for a round-trip bus from point A to point Megabus. The price is definitely worth the bus ride. Which I love that that's just backwards. Like, you had to take a bus in order to get a good price. The bus is equipped with a perfect bus customer. The bus is pretty epic, and I got to drive it. Probably because I am the bus driver on the road to Philly. I like sitting on the bus that I took to Philly from Boston. I did not experience a car on the bus, but I did actually have a bus ride. I spent a big time in a great bathroom on the Megabus. Megabus is where the bus is zen with Megabus. It's all Megabus. It is all based on the road. Megabus is a plus on a plus on a plus.